And this is the oviduct. It's also known as the uterine tube or the fallopian tube in humans. There's one associated with each ovary. And remember, this doesn't really physically attach to the ovary, it just kind of drapes over it. There's an open, kind of a bell-shaped end called the infundibulum, little finger-like projections that are ciliated that come off of that and help to draw the egg into the open end of the oviduct. Because the egg actually leads not directly into the oviduct, but in the body cavity, and then usually the oviduct sort of sucks it in. The ciliary activity of the fimbriae on the edge of the bell-shaped opening, the bell-shaped structure at the end, the infundibulum. So here you see the lining of the ovary is very irregular. The epithelium, which you see here, is what? What kind of epithelium do you have here? What is this? You see oval nuclei, single layer? Simple columnar. But most of them are ciliated. What appear to be cilia here are in fact cilia. That helps to move the egg down the oviduct. Because again, the egg is not motor. It doesn't have a flagellum or anything to move it, like the sperm. Then you got tissue deep to this, okay? What's this? Again, this is this loose connective tissue we see in mucous membranes. What's it called? Lamina propria again. You've seen it in the digestive system, you've seen it in tubes of the urinary tract, you see it here in the reproductive tract as well. Okay? And then you have smooth muscle. So it's the smooth muscle contraction and the action of the cilia and the lining that move the egg. Because again, the egg is non-motor. Doesn't move. Okay, so again, here's our epithelium. This is the lamina propria, and here are your muscle layers. Smooth muscle. What's the inner layer? Arrangement. How's it arranged? Runs around as you come to the organ. Circular. Unfortunately, the reverse of what we saw in the male. Male member is inner longitudinal, then circular and longitudinal. Here it's inner circular, smooth muscle, outer longitudinal. Like we saw in the old GI tract, remember? I said learn it. And then you had to relearn it from the urinary tract in the male system, and relearn again here from the female system. It's the reverse. Again, it's that contraction of the smooth muscle that's moving the egg along with the ciliary action on the epithelium here that moves the egg down the oviduct to the uterine cavity. Any questions? Okay. Let's take a look now at the uterus. As I said before, I'm not going to require you to recognize the stage of uterine development that the uterus goes through, but I do want you to recognize the layers in the uterine wall. And same thing on the models. The models too, I want you to recognize the regions of the uterus as well. The fundus, the body, and the cervix. Okay. Now this first slide, this is called the proliferation stage. Don't worry about that. But here the uterine lining is regenerating, it's building up. By convention, the first day of the menstrual cycle, day 1, is the first day of menstrual flow. And obviously that can vary, woman to woman. Maybe a few days, if she's lucky, maybe a week or so. But it builds up, there's no fertilization, it degenerates and sloughs off. And that's the bulk of the menstrual flow. And as you know, there are a lot of blood vessels in there, they break, that's why there's a lot of blood associated with the menstrual flow. So this is the outer layer, that'd be the uterine cavity. So what do we call this outer layer? The lining in the uterus. What is it? The endometrium. The endometrium. And there are 2 regions to that. The superficial one that faces the uterine cavity, which you see here, is called what? Stratum functionalis. This is the functional layer. This is where the embryo would implant if there's fertilization. And then be nourished by the blood vessels there and also lots of glands. And that too is what sloughs off if there's no fertilization, because that degenerates. That's usually the thicker layer. But deeper to that, down here, is the basal layer. That's called the stratum basalis. That remains behind, and it's a source of new cells for regeneration of the stratum functionalis as this uterine lining rebuilds each month. So that's the stratum basalis. And that's adjacent to the middle layer of the uterus, which is called what? It's mostly smooth muscle. What's this middle layer called? The myometrium. Again, when you see that prefix myo, that refers to muscle. You don't need to worry about the range. If you're a woman, you realize it's a very powerful muscle. That's what brings about the uterine cramps, okay? And also labor cramps, because it's basically to force the baby out of the body in a vaginal delivery. They have to be powerful muscles, and they are. And on the very outside, you really can't see it on this slide, you've got a thin layer of loose connective tissue and simple squamous. You don't really see it here. That's the perimetrium. And that's synonymous with the visceral peritoneum. That faces the body cavity. So lining endometrium, the part facing the uterine cavity, would be the stratum functionalis of the endometrium. The deep layer next to the myometrium is the stratum basalis. Then the thick muscular layer, the myometrium, and then that thin layer on the outside facing the body cavity is the perimetrium. So that's the proliferating phase. That'd be early in the cycle, right after menstruation has ceased and the uterine lining is building up. Okay, here we have what's called the secretory phase. And you don't even worry about the phase, but at this point, this would be the end of the cycle. Now the endometrium is fully developed and it's ready for implantation, should fertilization occur. And you can see, here again is the uterine cavity, and this is stratum functionalis of the endometrium. And you can see it's much thicker, highly glandularized, very vascular, lots of blood vessels. All stratum functionalis, as you can see here, still stratum functionalis. And then you get down to this basal layer right here, as you can see, the state has changed because this is smooth muscle. This would be the stratum basalis. So very well developed, thick endometrium at this point, ready for implantation. And then again, here's the myometrium, again very thick. Of course, this remains intact. That's a middle muscular layer. It's all myometrium. And the very outside, again, you can't really see it too well here, is the perimetrium. That'd be on the outside. Here. And the last slide is the menstrual phase. This would actually be at the beginning of the cycle. At this point now, there's been no fertilization. The corpus luteum is degenerated, progesterone levels have fallen off, result in degeneration and sloughing off of the stratum functionalis of the endometrium. And that's what we see here. You see there's a lot of blood vessels, a lot of blood cells here, broken blood vessels, because most of the stratum functionalis is basically gone at this point, just shredded. It's like it's all torn apart, and it is, it's degenerated. Not much left. Blood vessel right there. And then just a little bit of the stratum basalis here, and then you go right into the myometrium. Not much left of the lining now. This is all myometrium again. And here, you can actually see a little bit of the perimetrium. That outer layer which faces the body cavity. And it's synonymous with the visceral peritoneum. Remember, peritoneum is a serous membrane. The parietal layer lines much of the abdominal pelvic cavity wall. The visceral layer covers most of the organs in the abdominal pelvic cavity, with the exception of the retroperitoneal organs. We talked about there were parts of the GI tract, ascending and descending colon, most of the duodenum, the pancreas. Okay, these are all retroperitoneal. The kidneys are retroperitoneal. Okay, but most of the organs in the GI tract actually have the visceral peritoneum around. Okay? Any questions on the ovary? Again, know the layers. You don't need to worry about the phase, because the slide's going to be exposed. It'll tell you. You know, it's the menstrual phase, it's the proliferative phase, it's the secretory phase. If you look at your book, you can see it goes through phases. What's actually happening is you slough off, no fertilization, no pregnancy, and then you rebuild. No fertilization, no pregnancy, slough it off again, and rebuild. Each month, that goes on. And this is true of all female primates, which are humans, apes, and man.